don't know if you saw this over here. The Hearst story on secret Ukraine peace talks. True? With a question mark. Now, this story was back in the early December, whatnot, and it talked about the fact that there was secret talks between generals of the Russian army, generals of the Ukrainian army that were possibly coming together for peace talks. Now, if you watched this show, if you watched Convo Couch and a lot of the other shows, and if you've just been paying attention to any other media, what's going on in Ukraine, it seems like the war is winding down. In fact, I think they're trying to scam us. They're trying to jostle that piggy bank. They hear one more coin in there they're trying to get out of us. And that is evident in what's going on in the whole Senate bill, where they're trying to get the majority of the money to go to Ukraine. They're trying to get one last bit, regardless of the fact that a lot of people in America, especially on the populist right, are not cool with this war. All the Democrats, though, wow, they're all for Ukraine, right? You know, you hear them. They have political cover. They're talking about Gaza this, Gaza that, because they know they'll never vote against giving money to Israel. So they can sit out there. They can virtue signal all day. They'll never, ever really make a serious stance when it comes to Israel, but they have political cover. But when it comes to Ukraine, right now, if a bunch of Democrats were against Putin, oh my God, Putin, the squad, Barbara Lee, if they would, no offense, grow a set and then join with some of these populists, right, they can end that war tomorrow, no matter what, and say you're not getting a dime. But they're still trying to jostle and get that money. So what was going on, despite that, the fact that the average soldier for Ukraine was 43 years old on the front line now, which is sad because they've wiped out a whole generation over there because they're just running out of troops. They've lost almost 500,000. They still want to project like there's a chance for the Ukrainians to gain territory, go on an offensive, and beat back Russia. That's just not the case anymore. That's false. However, they want to lie about that, and they don't want you to find out what's going on in 2014 and do any research. And if you find out and you go back and you look and see what happened in 2014, you could see from the get-go that Ukraine ceased to have any sovereignty since that day. They've been a proxy government of the United States, a puppet government of the United States. Zelensky is nothing more than a puppet. So here's the story. This is a story published by Seymour Hersh and picked up by the Russian media that Ukrainian General Valery I can't say his name right. Zulunzi. How do you say Zulunzi? Okay, it's the Z brothers. Zelensky versus Zulunzi. And Russian General Valery Gerasimov are secretly negotiating a deal that will potentially end the Ukraine war. The story is supported by anonymous sources allegedly in the U.S. intelligence establishment. The question is the report true? The Russian report on the Hersh story has just all of a sudden disappeared. What is true is that the relationship between Zelensky, the overall commander of the Ukraine's armed forces, and Ukraine's president, Volodymyr Zelensky, is bad. Very, very bad. In fact, just recently, Zelensky tried to sack Zelensky. So bad, in fact, that Zelensky did not show up on the last day of November for a meeting between Zelensky and his generals. On top of that, Zelensky is reported to have ordered Ukraine's regional governors not to speak to Zelensky. Don't speak to him yet. No, he's done. Given this estrangement between Zelensky and Zelensky, anything that Zelensky might or could negotiate should run into a Kiev brick wall. And they're still saying Kiev out there. Zelensky has made it clear that the Ukrainian government will not, nor legally can, because of its legislation prohibited to, negotiate with Moscow. So even though they were trying to deals behind closed doors, it wasn't going to happen. It's not so much about the legislation. It's about who's in charge. So as soon as this started happening, once again, just recently, and that was in early December, just recently, Zelensky tried to sack Zelensky. Said, no more, you're gone, out of here. Hard part, can't find a replacement for him. Not too many people want that job. So what happened over here? This is just the other day. Why did Nuland rush to Kiev? All of a sudden, ladies and gentlemen, she's off. There's problems in Ukraine, and Nuland's got to go there. That should tell you 100% who's running the show. Zelensky versus Zelensky, who has the power? Victoria Nuland does. Okay, that's what this proved. The U.S. is running this for quite some time. And this is what it says. The White House told her to go there immediately in case things started to go badly in Kiev. It's obvious that they were really afraid that Valery Zelensky could use the army against Zelensky, writes the Asian Times newspaper. The author of the text claims that the U.S. Secretary of State for Political Affairs, Victoria Nuland, went to appease the commander-in-chief of the UAF, Valery Zaluzny, whom the president of Ukraine plans to remove due to major military failures. I mean, I don't know what the guy can do. He's against the brick wall. He's fighting the Russian bear. This here is Victoria Nudelman, who was once caught in 2014. The phone call that was interrupted. Remember FDEU, and then she was picking the next leader to Ukraine. That should have showed you right there that the United States has been running this whole war, this proxy war, for quite some time. Blood, ladies and gentlemen, is on the United States foreign policy apparatus hands. And this proves it right here. That's why you have Victoria Nuland going there and calling the shots. So take a listen to what she has to say in the press conference over there. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, they're trying to get that last coin. This is a money laundering scheme, right? So they're trying to kind of act as if Ukraine still has the ability to take on the Russian bear, that they're going to go on the offensive this summer coming up, that don't worry about it. We're going to support Ukraine. And if we do not support Ukraine, idiots like Chuck Schumer in office and stuff, if we don't support Ukraine, they're going to fall to Russian bear, and that's it. Putin's going to go across and reenact the whole Soviet Union. This is madness. This is craziness. It's a money laundering screen. These guys are criminals. We're talking about Victoria Nuland, people like Chuck Schumer, who are trying to push this war still to this day. And it's sad because so many people have died in this particular war. Take a listen.
I have to say that I leave Kyiv tonight more encouraged about the unity and the resolve about 2024 and its absolute strategic importance for Ukraine. I also leave more confident that even as Ukraine strengthens its defenses, Mr. Putin's going to get some nice surprises on the battlefield, and that Ukraine will make some very strong success this year. I have to say that I leave Kyiv tonight.
That's it. She says she leaves Kyiv tonight, but you heard what she said. They want you to still have this belief that the Ukrainians are taking on the Ruskies and they can beat them back. That's what they want you to believe. And then this whole Senate bill right now, the majority of it is going where? It's going into the pockets of the Ukrainian whitewashing machine, taking that money and washing it, right? Laundering it and getting it to the people who are supporting this. Listen, all the politicians are in on this. The whole FTX scandal showed that all these guys made so much money. What happened to that? How do people forget about that? That's what this is. And they don't care about the blood on their hands. You know, they want one more payday for that money laundering scheme. And this shows you right here. She showed up on Kiev and she said what's what. She supported Zelensky against Zaluzny. And that's what's going on. We understand that Ukraine is not calling the shots. The United States of America is, ladies and gentlemen. That's where your tax dollars are going. And they want to pass a huge bill, a Senate bill where they say it's a bipartisan bill, and they want to pass it and give the majority of that money to who? Ukraine. Craziness there, but now we know who they are, what they're doing, and how they're doing it. They're still not giving up on this one, ladies and gentlemen. We got to make our voices heard. No more money to Ukraine. YouTube still plays those crazy games where they like to unsubscribe people for whatever reason. I don't know if it's part of an algorithm or whatnot, but make sure you're subscribed and make sure you hit that bell and like, share, subscribe to the show. We're going to have this whole show clipped up. We're going to do it the same way we've been doing it on the Convo Couch for many years. We do a whole show, a live show, and then we have certain segments. We're going to repost the segments out there so you can share the shorter versions of the subjects that you like or that you want to share. And that's the most important thing you can do. A lot of us don't have any coin to spare, but we can share, right? That rhymed. We don't have any coin to spare, but we can share. So do me a favor and share.